In the quiet heart of the desert, where the wind hums through endless dunes of gold, three great shadows rise from the earth. Patient, eternal, unyielding, they are the pyramids of Egypt, monuments of mystery, whispers of time, and keepers of secrets older than memory itself. When the sun climbs above Giza, its light spills across ancient limestone, shimmering like the scales of a sleeping dragon. For over 4,500 years, these pyramids have watched the world turn, empires rise and fall, oceans shift, languages vanish into dust, and yet they remain. Some say they are tombs, some say they are temples. Others believe they are messages carved into stone, messages to the stars, or perhaps to us. But the truth, like the desert itself, changes shape with the wind. And so tonight, as the world quiets and sleep gathers around us, let us drift across the Nile, to the age of pharaohs, priests, and dreamers. Let us wander into the ancient silence and listen to what the pyramids might still wish to tell. Long before our modern cities, long before iron and engines, Egypt was already ancient. The Nile, like a ribbon of life, flowed through the desert, calm, steady, and eternal. It was here that people learned to listen to the rhythm of the flood, to sow when the river rose, and to harvest when it fell. From that rhythm came civilization, born from patience, from reverence, from awe. And at its heart was a belief that life was not a line, but a circle, that death was not an end, but a door. And through that door the soul would journey, guided by the gods, carried by the stars. The pharaoh, they believed, was not just a ruler, but a bridge between heaven and earth. His breath was divine, his body sacred, his destiny eternal. When Pharaoh Khufu ascended the throne around 2580 before Common Era, Egypt was at its zenith. The Nile's floods were kind, the people prosperous, and the gods seemed close enough to touch. Khufu dreamed not of palaces or conquests, but of eternity itself. He wished to build a monument so perfect, so enduring, that it would carry his soul into the afterlife and ensure that his name would never be forgotten. And so, the Great Pyramid began. The desert became a city of stone. Tens of thousands of workers, artisans, architects, farmers, and dreamers gathered beneath the blazing sun. Their hands chiseled, hauled, and heaved limestone blocks, each weighing as much as an elephant. They moved not with machines, but with will. They built not with greed, but with devotion. Day by day, year by year, the pyramid rose, a mountain made by man. Each stone was laid with ceremony, each angle measured by the stars, and as it grew, so too did the legend of its maker. When the pyramid was finished, it stood 146 meters high, the tallest structure on Earth for almost 4 millennia. Its sides aligned perfectly with the cardinal points of the compass. Its proportions echoed sacred geometry. Its base formed nearly a perfect square, each side almost the same length to within inches. How did they do it? With what tools? What knowledge guided their hands? These are questions that ripple through time, still unanswered, still shimmering like a mirage on the desert horizon. But perhaps the greater mystery is not how they built it, but why they built it at all. When night falls over Giza, the desert becomes a sea of darkness, and above it, the heavens unfold, endless, glittering, divine. When night descends upon the Giza plateau, the sun withdraws, leaving a crimson glow lingering on the horizon. The sands grow still, the desert wind softens, and shadows stretch across the colossal stones that have stood there for thousands of years. Then the heavens unfold, a boundless ocean of stars shimmering like the eyes of gods watching from afar. Among those distant lights, 3 stars align in a perfect row, the constellation of Orion. To the ancient Egyptians, it was known as Sa, the celestial symbol of Osiris, the god of death and rebirth. To them, Orion was not just a constellation, but a sacred gateway through which the pharaoh's soul would ascend to eternity. Priests stood beneath the desert sky, measuring with staffs, observing the heavens, marking the angles and the moments of divine alignment. And from those observations, they carved straight corridors into the stone, pathways to immortality, tunnels that pointed toward the undying stars. Modern science has since uncovered something astonishing. The air shafts within the Great Pyramid were not placed by chance. One aligns precisely with Orion's belt, the 3 stars in Orion's waist. Another points directly to Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, the symbol of Isis, the goddess and beloved wife of Osiris. Could it be that the pyramid was more than a tomb, that it was, in truth, a story written in starlight, a message of faith and love carved into stone? For in Egyptian mythology, Osiris and Isis were two halves of a single soul, one ruling the realm of the dead, the other protecting the living. Every night when Orion rose, Sirius followed. Two divine flames that never faded, a promise that life would return after death. The Egyptians believed that when a pharaoh closed his eyes, his soul would leave the body and step quietly into the corridor of darkness, then journey toward Orion, where the stars awaited to receive him, to grant him a place among the immortals. Thus, the pyramid was not merely a tomb, it was a cosmic machine, built with perfect harmony between earth and the heavens. Every angle, every stone carried within it the union of matter and spirit, of humanity and divinity. On warm summer nights, if you stand at the base of the Great Pyramid and look up, you will see Orion drift slowly above its peak, the three stars above mirroring the three pyramids below, as if the sky and the earth were reflecting one another. Perhaps the ancients built these mountains of stone to bridge the two realms, where humanity reaches upward to touch the divine, and the gods, in turn, lean down to listen. Within every grain of sand lies a prayer, that the soul may be reborn, that light will guide the way, and that death is but a doorway to another journey. In the silence of the desert, the pyramids still capture the light of Orion upon their ancient stones, a light that has shone for more than 4,500 years, and perhaps will continue to shine until the stars themselves grow dim. There are those who look upon the Great Pyramid of Giza and see not merely a monument of stone, but a symphony of numbers, a poem written in the language of geometry and light. For within each block, each angle, each measure, lies a pattern of astonishing perfection. These proportions are not merely feats of engineering, but the very language of the cosmos, a language the ancient Egyptians seemed to understand with divine intuition. If one measures the original height of the Great Pyramid, about 146.6 meters, and compares it to the length of its base, about 921.6 meters, the ratio comes astonishingly close to the value of pi. Pi equals 3.1416. It is as though, 4,500 years ago, the builders already grasped the truth that humanity would only rediscover millennia later. And if we divide half the base's perimeter by the pyramid's height, we find another sacred constant, the golden ratio. Phi 1.618, the ratio of beauty and harmony found in seashells, sunflowers, and galaxies. The same ratio Leonardo da Vinci would one day call the divine proportion. So the question arises, how could an ancient civilization without machines, without modern mathematics, construct a monument that encodes the eternal laws of the universe? Was it chance or was it intention? A deliberate attempt to carve the language of heaven into stone? For the pyramid was not merely a tomb, it was a cosmic symbol, an earthly reflection of celestial order. When the morning sun kisses one of its sides, the light forms a perfect triangle, and on the days of the equinox, when day and night are equal, that shadow aligns with breathtaking precision, marking the eternal balance between light and darkness. From an astronomical perspective, each side of the Great Pyramid aligns precisely with the four cardinal directions, north, south, east, and west, with an error so small, mere fractions of a degree, that even modern instruments would struggle to achieve such accuracy without deep knowledge of Earth's tilt and the movement of the stars. Some scholars believe these proportions were not random at all, but remnants of a forgotten science, a sacred knowledge lost in the sands of time. Others whisper that these numbers are traces of the gods themselves, beings from the stars who taught humankind how to measure the heavens and mirror them on Earth. Yet some say it was the result of human genius alone, of minds so attuned to the rhythms of the world that they could feel the mathematics of creation in their very souls. Whatever the truth may be, when one stands before the Great Pyramid of Giza and sees the stones rise like musical notes in the grand symphony of the cosmos, one cannot help but feel that here, mathematics is no longer mere calculation. It is art, it is spirit, it is the whisper of eternity itself. And perhaps, in the stillness of the desert, those numbers still resonate, telling us softly the story of human brilliance and the secret dialogue between Earth and the stars. And yet, amid these speculations, one truth endures. The builders of the pyramids were not gods, they were people. People who dreamed, people who believed that even stone could carry the soul beyond death. Soft harp chords, whisper of wind. Perhaps the pyramids are not a mystery to be solved, but a poem to be read, slowly, reverently, as one would read the verses of time. Centuries passed, dynasties fell, empires rose and crumbled like waves upon the Nile. The pyramids remained, silent, patient, timeless. Greek travelers marveled at them, Roman soldiers camped in their shadows, Arab historians wrote of their magic, and yet the desert began to reclaim them, burying the surrounding temples, swallowing statues whole. The wind whispered stories, but time began to forget the names. By the time of the Middle Ages, when the sands had swallowed the ancient roads, even the names of those who built the pyramids had faded into the mist of memory. No one could say who they were, slaves, masters, or beings who carried the wisdom of the gods themselves. And so, the whispers began. Some said the pyramids were raised by giants, descendants of divine beings, who lifted the massive stones as easily as handfuls of dust. Others believed the monuments were older than the Great Flood, remnants of a vanished civilization, one that knew how to harness the power of stone, how to command magnetism and light, and how to turn architecture into a language that spoke to the heavens. Then came a new and wondrous theory, that the pyramids were the legacy of visitors from the stars, beings of immense intellect, descending upon the deserts of Egypt, leaving behind a message carved in stone, a cosmic calling card to the fledgling race of man. Those who hold this belief point to the sky and say, "Look there." The 3 pyramids of Giza align perfectly with the 3 stars of Orion's belt. Could mere mortals of the ancient world have achieved such precision without guidance from above? And though these stories wander far from the realm of reason, they live on, because they touch something ancient within us, our eternal longing to know where we came from and who first lit the spark of our creation. Through thousands of years, legends have grown around the stones like ivy on ancient walls, concealing and yet adorning the mystery the pyramids still guard so faithfully, the mystery of our own beginnings. In 1798, Napoleon Bonaparte brought his army, and with them a new curiosity. Scientists, artists, and explorers studied every line, every angle, every inscription. It was then, in the shadow of the pyramids, that modern Egyptology was born. From hieroglyphs carved deep into temple walls, the lost voices of Egypt began to speak again. We learned of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, the kings who dreamed in stone. We learned of their engineers, priests, and builders. But even now, even with lasers and satellites, some secrets still hide within those ancient walls. What lies beyond the sealed chambers? What knowledge was buried to protect eternity? And why, across so many cultures and millennia, do humans return to this same shape, the pyramid, as if it whispers something eternal to the soul? Maybe the pyramids endure, not just because they were built of stone, but because they were built of faith. A faith that the soul can rise beyond decay, that life is larger than time. For thousands of years, the pyramids were silent, magnificent, but mute. Then, in 1799, a black stone was found near the town of Rosetta. On it were 3 scripts, Greek, Demotic, and hieroglyphic. It was the Rosetta Stone. With it, humanity unlocked the ancient language of Egypt, and the pyramids began to speak again. The carvings we once thought were symbols of magic turned out to be words, prayers, and records of human life. They spoke of love, loss, faith, and fear, the same emotions that move us today. Through translation, we learned that the builders were not slaves, but skilled workers. Proud of their craft, they lived near the site, fed and paid by the state, cared for by their communities. They sang as they worked, chanted hymns to the gods, and left behind graffiti that said, "We are the drunkards of Menkaure." A human echo, playful and timeless. For beneath the myths of giants and gods, beneath the shimmering veil of the extraterrestrial, stood ordinary men and women, farmers, masons, artisans, who 4.5 millennia ago looked upon the desert and dreamed of eternity. They were not visitors from distant stars. They were sons of the Nile, the river that gave life to their land and their faith. And when their pharaoh commanded a monument to the heavens, they answered not with magic, but with ingenuity, discipline, and devotion. Modern archaeology has revealed a truth as breathtaking as any legend, that the Great Pyramid was not built by slaves, but by tens of thousands of skilled workers living in vast, organized communities near the plateau. They were fed, cared for, honored. They built with pride, not in chains, but in service to eternity. Their tools were simple: copper chisels, wooden sledges, and sheer human strength. Yet through knowledge of geometry, balance, and celestial alignment, they raised stones that would defy time itself. Each block, each angle, each line was planned with precision, guided not by alien hands, but by the keen eyes of astronomers and the minds of mathematicians, priests who watched the stars, and engineers who understood the breath of the earth. As archaeologists brushed away the sand, they uncovered ramp systems, worker villages, bread ovens, pottery fragments, the fingerprints of humanity left there beneath the myth. And suddenly, the story of the pyramids became even more beautiful, because it was not the work of gods, but the dream of a people, a civilization that reached for the divine with nothing more than stone, sunlight, and will. It was not power that built the pyramids, nor sorcery, nor visitors from beyond. It was the human spirit, that same spark that paints the sky, builds cathedrals, sends ships across oceans, and reaches for the stars. In the end, the true miracle of Giza is not that the pyramids still stand, but that they remind us of what humanity is capable of when it dares to imagine something that will outlast time. For perhaps that is the greatest mystery of all, that we, fragile and fleeting as we are, can shape stone into a promise of immortality. And so the mystery deepened, not into darkness, but into light. For beneath the grandeur of stone was not divinity alone, but humanity. The pyramid, we realized, is not just the dream of kings, it is the dream of a people who refused to let time erase them. What then do the pyramids teach us? They teach patience, for each stone, each grain of sand, carries a story of endurance. They teach faith, that belief can turn dust into monuments, silence into song. They teach humility, that even the greatest of empires can fade, but a dream, if carved with love, may outlast the stars. And above all, they remind us that we too are builders. We build not from stone, but from memory, compassion, and hope. And though our monuments may not reach the heavens, they too can echo through time, in kindness, in courage, in care. The pyramids stand still beneath the sky, silent but not empty. Their stones breathe with the warmth of human hands long turned to dust. They are a heartbeat of eternity, slow, steady, unbroken. As the night deepens, their shadow blends into the stars. And perhaps somewhere beyond our knowing, the souls of those who built them still walk among the constellations, watching, whispering, remembering. The sands remember, the stars remember, and now, so do we. Thank you for listening to and following our very first podcast episode. Since this is our first time, there may be many shortcomings, and we hope you can understand. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to our channel. Your like and subscription will be a great motivation for us on the next part of this journey. If you have any feedback, feel free to leave a comment and let us know. Once again, thank you sincerely.